Our dear viewer, would like to welcome you this day to the Kingdom Business Network. This is a network whereby we discuss about business. We give you tips and ideas on how you can grow your business. We're here to make sure that you're sorted out in matters business. That's why we bring panels of experts who are well versed and knowledgeable in the various topics that we discuss. And this is intended to help you grow your business. So with me, in my immediate right is a beautiful young lady who is known as Sharon, and I would want Sharon to introduce herself.
My name is Sharon Jiru. I'm in project management. So today's discussion, we are going to delve into building construction with a focus on interior design.
Thank you very much, Sharon. The whole week, the whole month, we've been discussing about real estate. The last time we were here, we discussed about investing in real estate. And now we want to take this a notch higher and see how building construction and how architects can also add value into your real estate investment. And on my immediate left is Bishop Ndungu. You can introduce yourself and welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Wonderful to see all of you and to meet all of you. I have no doubt this program is very impactful. It's changing very many people's way of looking at business, investments, real estate, which we are handling today, especially building and construction. And I'm sure this is something everybody will be interested. There's a lot of talk about building and construction and what do you need. Some people think it's not possible. It is possible. And buildings coming down and all those challenges. So today we're going to look at all those, and you're most welcome to join us along this journey. And also tell your friends, welcome them, and share this message with them. Thank you.
Welcome very much, Bishop. Also, we have got Bishop Njiro. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Bishop Robert Njiro. I'm a property manager in real estate. It's my pleasure always to be in this program, which is very informative in the area of real estate. And our topic today is very, very interesting because as a property manager, one of the things that we encounter is buildings that are not well done or buildings that have not followed the due process during construction. And today, in this discussion, we are going to discuss these things, and you will know what procedure you should follow when constructing so that it can bring you maximum income, maximum profit. Thank you.
Welcome very much, Bishop. And before we continue, we want to ask you, what synergies do you see between property managers or people who are in real estate and the work of architects? What are the synergies and why should those work together?
Well, you know, when you are putting up a building, there is something we call a construction team, which comprises of architects, engineers, and property, real estate experts, and many other people like contractors. And without architects, there should not be a building. Mm-hmm. There should not be a building. Mm. So every time when we come to manage a building or we see a building, we think of the architect, because the architect is the one who came up with the design, whether a good design or a poor design. And why we should work together is so that we can benefit the investor by coming up with the best of the best design in a particular location, so that the consumer will like it, will attract more consumers in a certain area. When we have poor architectural designs, it translates to a loss in the area of the consumer, because the consumer here is a tenant. No tenant wants to stay in a poorly designed building. All of them, they want to stay in a good building. Mm. Thank you.
or think there might be somebody can look at you and think you are very, very young. And before we continue, maybe you can tell us how.
When you are very small, you start to realize maybe you have an interest in buildings, in construction, in design. You start to question a lot about what's happening around you, how something looks the way it looks. So I think it becomes from that curiosity. It starts from that curiosity. Then maybe it builds up also in school. So for me, also in high school, I started realizing that every time there was a talk on matters construction, I wanted to be present. I wanted to hear what are they saying and what is this construction industry. So that's when I heard about architecture. And then after high school, I think I was quite sure what I wanted to pursue. I knew it was either going to be real estate or it's going to be architecture, but I felt like architecture was broader, so it gave me more opportunities in the building construction, because with architecture you can focus in interior design. You are basically able to maneuver into any construction space. So when that happened, I joined University of Nairobi, and it's a very gruesome course. So for 6 years you go through an intense training, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of hard work, and then eventually you get your first degree after 4 years, and then another degree after another 2 years. So it's a 6-year program, very intense, but at the end of the day, if it's what you love, you can manage to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you certified by a body? And you can tell us about certification.
Yes, certification happens 3 to 4 years after you finish school, and granted I have not finished those years, so I am called now a graduate architect but not a registered architect. So once I sit for that exam next year, I become a registered architect.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there's another exam.
Yes, it's an exam by a body which now governs architects and quantity surveyors in the country. Yes, yes.
I know that you have done some spectacular buildings in the last few years. Maybe you can tell the viewer what you've done, how you've done it, what has been the key things that you've added to the value of the buildings that you've been in charge of.
Yes. So after graduating school, I decided to also do a few projects to learn or to implement the things that I have learned in school. And of course you have to work hand in hand with a registered architect if you are a graduate architect. So that's what we have been doing. We are designing houses, and also we are seeing different ways of, you know, playing with design, because now we are venturing into residential buildings, churches. We have designed also apartments. So there's a wide range of projects that someone can do. So I think for me it's been an interesting journey of discovery, because every day you're learning how to do something differently. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you done quite a number? How many key projects have you done?
Well, I can say I can count maybe 10 successful ones.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you have
When
to
you
say
say
about
when you say successful, are there some that are not successful? And what causes that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can say that there are some projects that when you begin, maybe the client wants just the design but hasn't gotten the finances to implement the projects. But when I say 10, I mean projects that have gone all the way from inception to construction to completion and to handing over. So those are projects that have survived all the stages of approval, they've survived the construction stage, and now they are completed.
You see, you have mentioned 4 steps already.
Yes.
Inception.
Yes.
Is it what? What is the next one?
Inception. I've mentioned the design process.
The designing.
Yes, and then now approvals.
Approval.
And then construction.
Maybe you can elaborate on each, because somebody who is a layperson may wonder, what is this inception?
Yeah.
What is this? How do you go about designing a house?
Yes.
If I come to you, I want to build a 3-bedroom house. I mean, where do you start? How do you determine this house will look like this?
Yes.
How do you go about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good question. So the inception stage is basically the client identifying, or the person who wants to build, identifying who do I want to do the drawings for me. So it all starts with the client identifying an architect. And I'd like to urge all our viewers to consider approaching an architect before anything, because the architect has a certain training that is able to locate you to all the other building construction experts. So from inception stage, once you have been advised and you have identified an architect, the architect will work with you. They will advise you, these are the team members you need to actualize this project. And then from there on, then we are able to do conceptual designs. So conceptual designs are once you listen to what the client wants and you have gone for a site visit, you are able to sketch and give them an illustration, graphical illustration, drawings that are able to tell him, this is what I think you have communicated, this can fit on your land, this is something that I think this is the direction. And then there's of course the design stage. The design stage, there's that back and forth. Okay. So the client says, actually remove this bedroom here. I want a kitchen instead there. I want a bigger pantry, or I want something else. So that's the design. It's more back and forth. You're trying to listen to what the client wants and to implement it. And then after that, you have to go through the approval stage. Yeah. So the approval stage is basically the architect who is registered is able to take your drawings to the relevant approving bodies or authorities, depending on where your site is located. So mostly we take them to the county governments and to other bodies that are regulating that area. So you might have a piece of land, maybe in an area which is a controlled development area, maybe an estate where maybe it's Runda, maybe it's Tatu City, maybe it's a place where there's a controlled body. Yeah. So in that case, we submit to all these bodies until they are satisfied and they say they have given their approval. And of course, with approvals, there are fees that are invoiced by these bodies. And now after the client pays and the approvals are given, that's the only time where now construction can begin. Okay. Yes.
Amazing. Quite a journey.
Quite a journey.
So actually, before you see the building coming up, there's a lot that goes, behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Wow, that's amazing.
Maybe I can ask Bishop and might be also Sharon. We have these people who do not want to follow the process. They think an architect is expensive, their charges are high, and all that. You can take turns and tell us, what do you advise those people, and why should they get an architect? Why should they follow the process?
Well, following the process is mandatory. It is a requirement in law. There is no building that should start, not even a building, even a fence. You cannot construct a permanent fence without a structural or an architectural drawing. It is illegal. So you remember, you realize that every time that the building stands there, somebody at one time or another will come over and ask you, maybe a public health officer, maybe the people from planning department in a certain area, they will come and tell you to submit the approved drawings. You are not supposed, there's no way you can put up a building without the necessary approval, and you cannot get approval without the architectural drawing. Now, from a layman's point of view, sometimes we find that we think that architects are very, very expensive and it's a waste of money. But I want to tell you that there is something that they bring into your building. There is a touch they bring into your building which you cannot achieve. Me, I've constructed houses before, even residential houses for myself, which did not follow. I did not go for an architect because I thought they were expensive. But the buildings never came out well.
Yeah.
They never came out well. These days, I'm a believer that even if I'm doing a room, I'm painting or I'm doing arrangement in a room, I should have even an interior designer, because it comes out well. It comes out well. And you know, when you have it well designed and when you have it approved, it will be more marketable. It will be more marketable, especially when it is well designed. It is very, very marketable. And then when it is approved, you know that you don't have any problem with anybody who comes around. Yeah.
Yes, and I also think, so here's the thing, even if you take the shortcut, because to be honest, there are very many people who construct without following the due process, and they have found a way to work that out. Yes, and do it. But in the long term, I think you end up spending a lot of money, because if you're spending money, if you don't spend money to get it right the first time, what happens is that you spend a lot of money trying to rectify the things that you have done wrong. So for example, you have a space, you got your fundi, he has come, he has done for you a partitioning, but then after that you have realized he didn't get what you wanted. So now you are like, okay, he has to repeat it. So I have to pay that fundi another day. I have to buy those materials again, probably to replace, and then now I have spent money in that way. So it means that if you get it right the first time, if you follow the correct process, you are saving yourself a lot of money that you would have spent in repeat jobs, in wasted time and resources. So I think that's the attitude that people are supposed to get, and remembering that the people who are trained to do this thing will save you a lot of time. Yes.
You know, another thing is, you know, when you engage qualified architects, you know, different grounds, you know, grounds are different. The architects, they take care also of the topographical features of your land. Now, especially during this time of rains, you are seeing some houses are being submerged into water.
Actually, I saw some in Juja yesterday where I think people have to move away.
They have to move away. You find houses having cracked and other things. And especially submerging is because somebody did not check the levels. Architects, they follow their training to advise you on the levels. And that's very, very important. They are able to know that in this place, some years to come, this road will be higher, or this road will be like this, the direction of the water, the direction of the weed, and such kind of things. So where to put where, because even when you are designing windows and everything, Mafudi, they are not able to know where to put this window or this window. But there are several things that the architects look at. The direction of the wind, the direction of the sun, and such kind of things, which we as lay people, we don't have that knowledge. So there is a lot. There is a lot. A house that is not well designed by a qualified architect, you can even know it. If you look at it like this, you'll know it.
So what do you have to say about the sinking houses, the collapsing buildings, and all that in terms of cost, in terms of what they could have done, and from an architect's point of view, what would be the advice that you have to people who are planning to construct?
I think the major advice I'd give people who are planning to construct is you need to begin with a construction team. So as Bishop had mentioned, the construction team, it has a wide array of people. So for example, there's the architect, there's a structural engineer, we have a civil engineer, we have a mechanical engineer, we have a quantity surveyor, we have property managers, we have interior designers, we have so many people involved. So the minute you take any shortcut and maybe you stop engaging one aspect or one person in the field, then that makes your project shortchanged in one way or another. So for example, projects, the many houses and buildings that we have been seeing that are collapsing, it must be a structural issue. So my first question to such a client whose project has maybe collapsed or something would be, where was your structural engineer? Because it is his drawings that dictate maybe the size of the columns that you're going to use. And by the way, it's not just about giving the drawings. So when you start, during the construction period, you need to work with your construction team. So for example, your structural engineer cannot just give the drawings and then you fire him. You need to work with them throughout the construction process so that they can come. We call that periodic supervision. So you supervise after every agreed period of time. They come to the site and then they are able to tell maybe the workers, here you need to do this, you need to do that, so that the curing process goes on well, the sizes of the reinforcements are good, so that everything works out at the end. But the problem comes in when you don't work with these people and you maybe assume that you know, or you have built enough times that you have the expertise. Yes. So
you don't think the contractor would know? I mean,
yes,
maybe the contractor has been building for the last 40 years.
Yes.
So if you leave them with the drawings and you kick out the structural engineer, the whoever engineer, whoever the architect, you don't think you can leave all that to the contractor?
No, I wouldn't still leave all that to the contractor, because the contractor's mission is to make a profit margin. So whatever that is in the drawings, they will try their best to save money.
Okay.
So that's why you have all these other people coming to also check the quality of what he's doing. Otherwise, you will have a project where you have been shortchanged because everything has been watered down in order to make profits. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
If I hear what you're saying is that there's a very big advantage in terms of engaging the right people.
Yes.
Professionals
Yes.
to help you construct your building.
Yes.
Because number one, they'll save you the cost of might be a demolished building or a sunk building or a collapsed building. On the other hand, I also hear that the product that the professionals will give you is going to be more appealing in the market.
Yes.
And that means it's going to be more marketable. That means you're going to be making more money.
Yes.
So though it might look like initially you're going to spend a lot in terms of all these people who have been mentioned, in the long run, you stand to benefit.
You stand to
You start to benefit.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes we go into buildings and you find that they are very poorly planned, like the size of the rooms. I've gone to manage some rooms that you can't even fit a bed, king, queen, 5 by 6. You can't fit a bed.
Wow.
The wardrobe is placed in the wrong place. The kitchen is, you bypass the kitchen while going to the toilet. You pass through the kitchen and going to the toilet.
Wow.
And all these things, they translate into to the consumer. You find that when somebody comes, normally when people come to check for a house, somebody will come either with a girlfriend or with a, women have a taste. They come with a girlfriend or with a wife. And once they see the design, all the sizes of your rooms, they pass. They tell you, no, we don't want to stay in this building. And, you need to bring your prices very low, your rent very low, for you to attract anybody. But when it is well designed, doors are put in the right place, the toilet is put in the right place. Like houses that are not well designed, you find that the bathroom, the toilet is here, the bathroom is here, the toilet is at the far end. So somebody has just finished showering, you are stepping in the water to go to the toilet. You know that's
all
a poor
designing.
design.
Yes,
That's
poor
poor
designs.
design.
Yes.
But when you engage a good architect, all these things will be designed well, and you'll be able to get more money when you are, even when you are living in that house. Everybody wants to live in a house that is well done, well ventilated. There are houses you go to, you find that they have no air because you know, you as an investor, you want to make money by all costs. Your foodie, the mason or the foreman does not have that knowledge. Doesn't know that we need the sun, we need to put this window on this side because the sun comes out from this side. You need to put this one on this side. But architects, they know. Professionals, they know. Yeah.
Let me ask about trends. In years past, might be 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'll find there were buildings were being constructed in a particular way. Like even rental houses, I know like about 20 years ago, it used to be like a small room 10 by 10. You want to maximize on space, so it's all 10 by 10 and all that. But today, things have changed.
Yes.
What's the role of an architect in terms of advising in terms of the trends? Because if you do not look at the trends and you constructed the way constructions were being done many years ago, people will be now, other competitors, let me call them competitors if you are also in that real estate market, will be constructing in a much more modern way. And then what we see is that people who are in those old houses now start moving to the newly constructed new trends. So what do you have to say about trends and the importance of involving an architect to advise you on trends at the time you are constructing?
So we also have that kind of expertise of being able to look around, to look at the market, to look at what is trending at the moment and what is timeless, because you have to go beyond the trend. You must go to now the future and see, okay, this construction material, how old can it stay? If I put this kind of railings, if I put this kind of windows, 10 years from now, how can it look like? So that's the kind of training that we also undergo to be able to see what is there and what can last, because I've actually had so many cases of people who want to renovate their houses, people who want to at least now boost it, because there's so much competition around them, and they are the only ones now left.
That's true.
So what I would advise people who want to develop their buildings at this point, make sure that you work with somebody who is also aware of the current trends and who will not only advise you about what's current, but also what's timeless. Yes.
I like that. I mean, that because many people think about the trends, what is happening today. But I like what you say, also look for what is timeless. Because what is trending today is like fashions. Today there's a popular, fashion. After 1 year, you don't see it. So if you go under with the trends, then your house will not be in the market another 5 years to come. And I always say in building, it's good to build for the future. Don't just build for today. Look at the future. I remember I met a friend of mine who was building a very high-rise apartment, maybe 8, 9 floors and all that. And I asked him, where is the lift? And apparently he didn't have one. And I said, well, you're not building for the future, because if you don't have a lift, and everybody else now building around you, they have a lift. So what will happen? In another 1 year or 2, or when people are coming to look for a house to rent, they will go away. They will say, oh, we have a lift there. Because can you imagine climbing 8th floor with all whatever you're carrying, or your furniture and everything, and then you have to go all the way to the 8th floor. It's a nightmare. So I think we have to think about the future. What is happening, that's what she's talking about, is timeless. What are those things that will be needed even 20 years from today that may not change? There are those, fundamental, principles in building that will not change even in many years to come. And I like that. I remember when, Bishop was talking about houses that are not manageable. I remember one house just in Kasarani. We were living there, and when you were married, and you realize there's a room, I think 2 rooms, 2 bedrooms. They were always dark. I mean, whether it's day, there was nothing like light. So you had to use power you know, throughout.
Yeah.
And of course, at the end of the day, it's more costly because you have to pay for more power. So in the morning, if you don't have an alarm or if you have to look up to you can sleep until 10 a.m. and you still don't realize. You're thinking it's 5 a.m. in the morning. It's so dark. And so, I mean, that's what we are talking about. Things that people, when as a builder, as a developer, I may not see. But I need somebody else who has studied. They know where the sun comes from. They even look at, the other challenge I've seen is I'm building today, let's say in an empty land, but nobody else has built. So I'm thinking about my own house. Only to realize after 5 years, everybody else comes and builds. And my house is actually submerged between the houses. And I realized, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. They came and blocked all the windows because I did not consider that. I think that's why you're using somebody, because they'll be able to think about the other person. Because they are not the only one building, especially in Nairobi, where houses are just back to back. And I don't know when you're drawing, how do you go about, I know the land in Nairobi is so small, 40 by 20 by 30.
Yes.
So how do you go about, and I want to maximize on space.
It's called a slice, eh?
You know, just a slice. I mean, how do we take care of that? I mean, I want to get the best. And again, I want to have all those functions and the lighting and everything. Yeah.
So first of all, we are also trained in zoning regulations. Zoning regulations are basically the rules that have been put in place by the government to control developments. So it means that through working with an architect, you can reduce the amount of friction that you have with the local authorities when you're building. So in those zoning guidelines and regulations, you have different percentages that they give of the plot coverage. So for example, you can find in a certain area, depending on the area, you can find you are allowed to occupy 50%, 75% of the piece of land. So you are not supposed to occupy your land beacon to beacon 100%. You have to leave some spaces that are open to sky, that are going to bring in light and ventilation and air into the space. Yes, so that's also another reason why, and we will hammer this point, I think, throughout this conversation. Another reason why you need to engage professionals. Yes.
By the way, the same line, we are having so many problems with those houses that are back to back because of the circulation of the air.
Yes.
Because you find that this wall, this is your wall, your neighbor's wall is back to back with your wall. So you'll always have molds on this wall. And sometimes the tenants, when they come and they hang their clothes, you find that their clothes now, because they are so damp, because that dampness is permanent in that house. The architects, they help us also to improve the circulation of the air. Because that's because of lack of proper circulation, proper windows, and then that wall is always wet. It's always wet. So we have some buildings whereby that bedroom, which is on the bedrooms on that side, they are not usable. So tenants must keep on shifting. We have tried to look for paints and other ways of, branding those walls, and it's not possible. It's not coming out. So I think what you said is very, very important.
The zoning. That is important. You see, I've seen some people even go to and construct in a way whereby you find they are not thought through a building properly. I've seen some people, they build a room like this, and then all of a sudden it becomes too dark, as Bishop had mentioned. And then somebody says, can we put a window there? So they're finished, then they start bombarding. Might be they even put plaster, So I think it's very, very important to engage professionals from the beginning, because they'll think through all these things, the zoning regulations, how the flow of everything, flow of traffic, how you're going to put your furniture, how you're going to do the interiors and all that. Might be we can touch a little bit of interiors. And
as we go to that, I would want to encourage our viewers and listeners to send in a question. We have an architect here and people who are very conversant with building and real estate. So if you want to share a question, comment, I see there are people who are sending their comments. Moses Kamau says, loving the show, very insightful. And somebody is saying, Shiko, good morning. This is such an enlightening session. My question to Sharon, what are your thoughts on sustainability in relation to architecture and design? Sustainability, I think you'll think about that. And then somebody else is also asking, are architects involved in building the apartments we live in? The mode of building is usually similar, or is there a standard code for building apartments in Kenya? Because like all the apartments look the same. Yeah, maybe you can respond to those.
Okay, I'll begin with the latter.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think there's no standard design that has been given by the government for all our designs.
It's copying and pasting.
It's not copy and paste. But what happens, I believe, is that given the size of the lands that we are working with, especially in the urban areas, we have, as you said, lands which are very small, even 20 by something, and that constricts the creativity that you can have. Because, for example, for rental apartments, the goal is to have as much rental income. So we have landlords who are not willing to invest so much, but they want so much out of it. So, and also with the size of the lands that you're given, maybe you only have one side of the road to work with and all the other three sides are covered on the other side. So you find people are working with low budgets and also they are working also with tight spaces. So I think that's what has directed or shaped the kind of architectural landscape we are seeing. Yes.
But that's, I would think, in my own thinking, is that people should also be creative, innovative, such that we don't try to copy what everybody else is doing. Okay, there may be some similarities, but again, people can also come up with their own way of, creation, such that you don't go to a place, a whole estate with 100 buildings, and all of them look the same.
Now it's a question also of mindset.
Okay.
And investors who invest in certain area, when they come, they study, they look at that area, or how are people building here, and when an architect, the architects that have been there is that they want it easy also. So they come and copy and paste. They look at the next building, they copy and paste. This mindset, we can also see it in our markets. Look at our markets all over Kenya, or even in East Africa. You know those traditional shops? They look alike. If you go everywhere, you find that those old shopping centers.
One that look like they're wearing a hat.
Baseball cap.
When we were in the University of Nairobi, when we were in college, we studied that and we were asking, why are all of them similar? And we did a survey on it, and we came to realize that it came from the Indian, the Indian type of a thing. They're the ones who brought that thing. So everybody went and built like that. The same happens now to our, the flats. Everybody is coming to that. So it's a challenge to the architect, like he's saying, to be more. But if you go now to our market, the up markets, like you go to Kilimani, you go to Kerereshwa, the kind of the apartments they are building there, they are so different. They are so different. So something good is coming up to break that tradition. We also need to break it in the low income areas and the middle.
And I think there's no limit to what we can do, because like you're saying, people will copy whatever the design came from India, and then everybody now copies that. It's like people are afraid of thinking outside the box. But I think we can exercise our capability, our power to think, to reason, to be creative, and share. You can even come to the architect or whoever you're working with, the professionals, and say, these are the ideas I have. and now they can interpret them and give you. So the other person was asking about your thoughts on sustainability in relation to architecture and design.
Yes, I think sustainability is right now a trending topic in design and architecture. So sustainability, for those who may not be aware, it just means that what is it that we can employ or do in our buildings that can be generational, that can be passed down after generation to make sure that this building is timeless, just like we were talking about. So there are certain things that we can do, for example, harvesting rainwater, using solar panels instead of using the normal generation of power, KPLC. And then there's so many aspects, even the way you orient the building to be able to face a certain direction so that you don't get exposed to the east-west sun. So there's so much aspects to it. And what I think is that I actually implore all the other people in the creative industry to move towards sustainability, because I think it's the correct direction to go to. The only challenge is that you find many people are not willing to invest. It's usually more capital intensive to invest in a sustainable building vis-a-vis normal building. Yes, so it is the initial cost may be higher, but the maintenance cost of that building after that may be lower, because now you have done things already at the conceptual stage that can help you sustain this building properly, and it will serve generations to come.
Yeah, I like what you've said, and specifically I would want you to elaborate more about solar, because I think it's a hot topic currently with the high bills in electricity and all that.
Yes.
What would you advise somebody in terms of sustainability on the use of solar, the pros and cons, and why that should be considered?
Yes, I've seen also many of my clients opting to go the solar way. One, because of the irregularities we are seeing with power, and also because of the high bills, as you have said. So I think it's a very good way to do. It's a very sustainable way, because also if you know the process that goes with power generation, the hydroelectricity, it's not a sustainable way. There are a lot of machines used. If we all move or migrate towards solar, it's more sustainable for our environment. However, I know that solar has an initial cost. So for example, in order for you to harness enough solar power to run a whole apartment, and maybe you have lifts and you have other things, you may need many solar panels, and that is an initial cost. What I would advise developers right now, if you are not able to invest initially in solar, make sure when you are building you do all the provisions. Engage a solar expert, do all the provisions for that solar power. And as you continue to get your rental income or to save some money here and there, go and invest in solar power, because at the end of the day it will save you. So it does not mean that if you do not have the money right now to invest, that you cannot do something about it. You can go and make all the provisions, engage somebody, do all the wiring that is required in your building, so that when the time comes, you will just be connecting into the solar power and you are able to move on. Yes.
I like that, having the provisions.
Yes.
You may not have the money today, but when you have it tomorrow and you didn't have the provisions, then you'll be stuck.
You'll be stuck.
Yeah, you don't start hacking the
Yes.
Try to bring in some wires to everywhere.
I don't know what other provisions besides solar that people can have in mind.
Yes, I think other provisions that you can do is also the smart systems. So for example, you may want to have in future CCTVs, and do not have maybe the capacity to invest in that right now. You may want to have maybe automated entrances, keyless entries to doors, maybe automated gates. All these things are things that you
called
can...
smart systems.
Smart systems, yes. These are things that you
So
can...
how do you make provisions for those?
Yes, so they all include a lot of wiring. So those experts who do these
Piping.
works and piping, they will come and they will advise you accordingly on where you need to make the provisions, the places that you want the cables to terminate. They will advise on all that so that when the time comes and you are ready to install, you are not stuck. Yes.
That's nice. That's good.
Somebody is asking here, what are the key considerations when buying a home for the first time?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I think we'll share this
that's
response. Yes.
Bishop,
Key considerations when buying a home.
for the first time. So you don't have a lot of money. It's your first investment. You are really like, I don't know, I want to get it right, you know.
Yeah. When you want to buy a house, the first thing is to locate the house. You want to know the location. Where do you want to live? And at the back of your mind, you have what is the purpose of the house? Do you want it for income generation or you want to live in it? Because if it's for income generation, that's different. If it's for you to live in it, that's different. If it's for income generation, depending on your budget, you have to know where you get more, where you get more in terms of rent and whatever. If it is for you to live in, also again, you got to know where do you want to live. Is it in Kasarani? Is it in Ruda? Is it in Karen? Where do you want it? Depending again on your budget. Once you have known where it is, the next thing is to look for it. You can engage brokers, you can go to the internet, there is a website, there's a lot of information on the properties on sale. Once you get it, then you can visit the site and go and look at it and see. Once you have seen this is what I want, then the most important thing is to get into due diligence. Due diligence. Due diligence, due diligence. And we have been talking about this. Try to know who is the owner of this building. Who is the owner of this building. Once you have ascertained the owner and the prices that you are sure that this is not Kirimarad, not the Kirimarad or something, or Mafoko, then you can get into now the next thing. If you are buying that property, I believe it's a house you are buying or something.
It's a
home.
Yeah, home.
It's a home that you are buying. Then you got to go down for the owner to show you the documents, the documentation. You verify the documentation. Now in the documentation, you got to check out the plans. The plans, are they approved? Were the plans approved? Because if they are not approved, don't go for it. You got to get it approved. Because they can still be approved even after or as built. You can still have it approved as built. Get the approvals, the late approvals, so that it will not give you problems. Now, sewer is very, very important because many people who buy properties, they find that they have a problem with the sewer. And let me tell you, if you have a problem with the sewer, that house is not habitable any longer. So check the sewer. It's very, 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 very important. Check the water. How does the water flow into this building, and such kind of things. And once you get that, then you engage a good attorney, a good lawyer, who will advise you now from there. A real estate lawyer who will advise you from there on how to proceed.
Is it easier to build or to buy? What would you advise somebody? Like, if I have some money that I'm looking for a home, would I rather look for a plot and build or buy a complete home?
Now, there are so many houses in building, but you better go through them. Because once you build your house, you build according to your taste. Once you are buying a house that has already been built, you are buying somebody else's taste. It's always good for you to construct your house. I always like it when I construct my house because it's according to my taste, my wife's taste, my children's taste, and I am more comfortable. I find that many people who have bought properties or bought houses, they're always complaining. They're always complaining about something, about a corner somewhere, about a kitchen, about the size of a thing. But when you build, you are happy about it. And again, you know, it's always cheaper to build, because when you buy a property, you know that somebody made a profit.
Yeah.
So when you build, you have bypassed that profit.
I think
Nobody will sell a house at a loss.
I think you have mentioned my wife's taste, my children's taste. Should we involve all of them? Because there are people who just go buy a house and say, oh, the surprise, you know, for the family. Or you are even renting. Like you rent a house and the wife will start saying, hey, I wish you told me, I wish, you know. How should that work in a family setting? Do you think the husband or the wife or somebody should involve the entire family in building and also in renting?
I think when you want to buy a house or even a plot, a house, it should never be a surprise. These things should not be a surprise. Because there are things that should be a surprise, a car or something. But you know, a house is somewhere where you live in, is somewhere your heart will be attached to. When you try to surprise them, they may not get surprised. You end up surprising yourself. You buy it, you bring it as a surprise, and they don't like it. So you'll have to think of how to get another one. They will live there for a few years, but they'll always be complaining that this is not what you wanted. So I always advocate that take your wife there, tell her about, plan together, tell her this is what I want. Involve also your children. Your children are very, because this will be their home.
Yeah.
This will be their home. So involve them. Even the small ones, they have a taste. By these small children, they have even more taste than us. Because they're always in the internet. They will tell you, Dad, this one should be like this one should be like this.
Yeah.
When we are renting houses, we always appreciate a gentleman who comes and sees the house and says, let me go now and bring Mama to come and see it. If Mama accepts it, then it's good for us. I'm good. For me, I'm satisfied, but Mama must come and approve. So I think it should be a family thing.
It should be a family decision.
Yes.
Thank you for
Maybe
that
the interior
discussion.
designer.
We can just look briefly about interior design. And before I even get to the interior design proper, I would want to ask about the choice of materials and how materials that you choose impact interior design in terms of the perceived value of the property. What do you have to say about materials that you use in terms of perceived value of the property in the space of interior design?
Yes. So I'd say that interior design affects real estate in a big way because how marketable or how good or bad a house is mostly influenced by how you feel when you're inside a space. So somebody may have constructed a very ugly looking building, but if the inside is done properly, it really attracts the user because they feel I can stay here, I can reside here.
Yeah.
So the materials really affect the perception of a house and what somebody feels comfortable with and what doesn't feel comfortable with. I'll give you a small example of something like maybe the choice of tiles. Maybe you have chosen a certain looking tiles that's dark, gloomy, you know, maybe it has this pattern that you feel like you are outside or you are being attacked. You know, there are some, but maybe another house has a bright, airy color and they look clean, the joints, they look very well done. That makes somebody have the perception of this is a clean space. This is a space that is easy to clean, that I feel like I am comfortable staying here. I can see myself in this bathroom. You see? So that really affects somebody's, you know, desire to stay somewhere. So I can say that material choice have a very big impact. Even, for example, in a kitchen, what material have you used for the countertops? That really affects somebody because they see themselves cooking in that space. What do they want to see? Do they want to wipe and then there are coffee stains that have remained there? Or do they want a countertop that is clean, no joints, and they're able to appreciate that? So I can say that materials really affect, and I'd want to to advise all investors to seriously think about the material choices. Work with your interior designer, work with your architect, let them advise you on how you can lay out your space, and also choose materials that are going to be timeless, that they are going to attract people to your house. Yes.
We're coming from an age, let me call it an age, whereby a lot of the people who are building in the past were just looking at cost. So if they want to get, for example, sand, they go to the volcanic ash of Mai Mahiu. And if they want the stones, they look for the cheapest of the cheapest. What do you advise these people to do in terms of balancing cost and the appeal of the building?
So for example, I usually say that a bad design and a good design is almost the same cost. It's just a matter of creativity and workmanship. So when you are looking for, let's say, construction workers, construction materials, do not rush to get the cheapest deal. Make sure that you also look at what value am I going to get with this material. So don't go for always the cheapest thing and compromise on quality. It's not bad to do a market survey and to see where can I get the best deal, but do not compromise on quality because you're looking for affordability. Yes.
Okay, what do you have to say, Bishop?
Yeah.
I think that's very, very important because always you want to maximize on what you do. And for you to maximize on what you do, don't compromise on the quality. Never compromise on the quality. Because when you compromise on the quality, it will be expensive on the long run. That house, you need to do repairs less than 10 years, less than 5 years. Your property will be run down by the effects of climate change, effects of the weather, effects of many other factors that affect buildings. But when you use good materials, just like the way you use the word timeless, they will be timeless. So you better invest. You better go slow, but get the best. Don't be in a hurry. Yeah.
One more question. A lot of people, and again I'm coming from the past, keep on saying that nyumba ni finishing. It's all about the finishing.
Yeah.
So at what stage do you engage an interior designer? Or is this interior designer the same as the architect, right from the word go? Or do you engage this interior designer when you now start doing the finishing?
Okay, so what we normally say is that you need an interior designer as soon as possible. As soon as you think of even developing, you need an interior designer. Because the thing is, you might also engage an architect. You have maybe done the structure, the shell. Now you are ready to do the finishes. But the interior design started a long time ago. When the architect sat down and started arranging your spaces and saying the kitchen is closed plan or open plan, he's already making some decisions. He's already making some decisions for you that you may not even be aware.
Yeah.
So you might come in and engage an interior designer when some things are too late. So for example, the layout of the room. For example, the way the bathroom is, where the shower is placed, where the sink is placed. All those things may come in way later. So I think interior design it's usually good to engage an interior designer as soon as possible, and if possible, let them work hand in hand with the architect to deliver this project.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I think we've come to...
So we have architects who are Udabo. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the architect and the interior designer.
Yes.
I think like you do...
Yes, for us, we have a background in architecture, and we also do interior design and project management. So that's one-stop shop.
Okay.
Yeah, so it usually helps in such a situation.
Are all architects trained in interior design?
No,
Not
so
all.
it is a choice. So when you do architecture, you can either venture into landscaping, conservation, interior design, depending on your interests. Yes.
Maybe we appreciate all of you, and there is one or two questions as we wind up that we can handle in a minute. Somebody is asking here, Justus is asking just a question, and sharing, very insightful topic. We appreciate that. What would you recommend on a residential house roof designs? Have you have noted that flat roofing is becoming popular of late, unlike the traditional way of roofing? So talk maybe for a minute.
Also, for residential homes, I think at the end of the day, it's up to the choice, because there is a way to do both in a good way. So if you opt for a flat roof design, which is, I think, the direction many people are heading towards, make sure that you do waterproofing. You need to engage a subcontractor who specializes in waterproofing to lay that roof towards the falls, so that you cannot have leakages. But
are there advantages why somebody would go for the flat roof?
I can't say there's any advantage or disadvantage of one over the other. It is a matter of taste and what you like.
But I thought maybe the flat roof would give you more space.
Yes.
Some people use it for
nyama
laundry,
choma.
Yes.
or for nyama choma, something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, there is that aspect. However, with a pitch roof, depending on the size of the house, you can still get maximum optimization of your land to where you also have that free space. So depending on your piece of land, for example, there's a project we did in Machakos, Mavoko area, and the client has a 40 by 80, and the flat roof is very essential to them, because that's the space that they use for outdoor retreat. But somebody with half an acre, even if you don't have the flat roof, you still have space to enjoy outside. Yeah.
Peter is asking, loving the show, humble request to Sharon if they can offer their services at affordable prices to common wananchi. This is because many people fear to consult with the architects because they fear their prices. Maybe she can tell us how much. How do you go about the pricing and all that?
So the pricing is normally dependent on the size of the project.
Okay.
So depending on the client's brief, what they want, that's what determines the costing or how we cost the project. And we don't overcharge. Let me just say that you can find also in the market people who are able to do for you good business without overcharging. Yes.
And it's also negotiable. There's room.
Yes, there's also room for negotiation.
Maybe you'll give your contact, and then
Yes.
where people can maybe reach you.
Yes.
Somebody is just making a comment here and saying a building for the future. This is Winnie Kamau. So I think we mentioned that when you're building, it's good to build for the future.
Yes.
Maybe she can give her contact for people who may be wanting to consult.
Yes. So if you want to consult us or reach us, my company is called Linak Consultants. You can reach me on 0728 272 254.
Maybe you can repeat that again, the name of the company.
Yes.
And
So our company is called Linak Consultants, 0728 272 254.
Thank you very much, Sharon. We can get some parting shots, I think, because I know our time is much gone. Bishop Njiro, you can give us some parting shots.
Let's go build. And let's follow all the due process. Let's have our houses well designed so that we can make maximum profits. The society has evolved. Nobody now wants to live in a bad house. Nobody again wants to live in a single room. People want now to live in bed sitters. But bed sitters that are well done. So please, when we are constructing, let us follow the due process and let's have our houses, our rooms well designed. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Bishop Ndongo.
Well, this has been interesting. I don't think we are finished. Maybe we'll look for another time to come and share more insights. And this is all geared toward helping people, encouraging people. And from this conversation, there are people who are also afraid. Like one time we visited Dubai and we saw iPhones that were very cheap. One was costing like 7,000. And we thought, okay. And when we came back home, and they looked like real, like original. Like, yeah, we are talking even of buildings. Sometimes you may think a building is real. Okay, it's real, but when storms come, when the rains come right now, like in the Bible, you hear of the two builders. One was wise, the other one was actually not wise, was foolish. And when the storms come and the wind and everything, so one of the houses came down. So to cut my story short, this man came back with all the iPhones. Once you download one application, it collapses. He had to throw away. He had to throw away and lost almost 100,000 because we always say cheap is expensive. So I think when we are building, let's do it. We'd rather take longer, but get it right. So that, because a building can outlive all of us. It can be there for 100, 200 years. So let's get it right. Thank you so much. And as we close, Bishop, I want to invite our business people. That is happening on Tuesday next week. That is on 28th of November, 2020. Join us on this, and there's contact on your screen that you can reach us and pay for the dinner. We have wonderful people, some of them who are here, others who will be coming. And the good thing with us, we are believers, we are ministers of the gospel, so we also pray for your business. Even if you have not started your business and you have an idea, you want to grow, you want to learn more, I encourage you to call that number, register for the dinner. It is happening on the 28th, Tuesday next week, 5:30 at the House of Faith here along the Super Highway. And then on Wednesday, we are beginning our annual conference. That is Transform Africa Faith Conference 2023. That is happening on Wednesday through Saturday. That is 29 through the 2nd of December. Morning till evening, 9 o'clock till 7 o'clock. We have ministers, local, international, singers, worship, call it. So we will be gathering at the House of Faith, Overcoming Faith Church, Thika Road. And I want to invite all of you again to join us. And those of you who love to pray, to worship, and you want to have extended time, tomorrow, today is Thursday, yeah, tomorrow, Friday, we are having an overnight prayer from 9 o'clock to 4 a.m., to pray for the conference, to pray for our nation, families. If you have a need, there's a breakthrough. We are calling it actually the night of breakthrough. So I want to invite all of you, please come and join us tomorrow night. That is Friday, the 24th, I believe. And we will all be gathering again at the Overcoming Faith Church, the House of Faith, along the Thika Road Super Highway. God bless you, love you. May God give you buildings and houses, even in the future.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop. Sharon, do you have anything to tell the viewer?
Just to say that you can do it. It's possible. Follow the right procedures and work with the right team. Yes.
Thank you very much. So viewer, thank you very much for staying tuned. We are here every Thursday, same time, same station. God bless you very much. We're here to make sure that we take care of your business needs. We give you tips and ideas on how you can grow your business. This has been very insightful. So to the panelists, God bless you very much, and thank you for your contribution. Shalom and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.